Welcome to the Dropping Gems con Muchos Colores podcast. I am your host, Arely Lagunas. This is an audio community where we own and share our stories as trailblazer moms, crafting a unique and meaningful work lifestyle, leading with passion, breaking barriers, and chasing bold dreams on our own terms. Celebrating our Latina motherhood voices to bring you genuine insights to the highs, the lows, and in-betweens of working moms from a first-gen Latina lens. We don't have to travel this journey alone. Let's get started. Joining us today in our podcast space is Christine Vega-Perez, a decision-making and accountability life coach and the creator of Life's Risk Management, a blog site to help keep calm, confidence, and competent to tackle all that life throws our way. Christine has over 14 years of experience in the healthcare industry and has her master's of science in nursing. Recently, she moved with her husband and two toddler boys from Pennsylvania to Florida and is enjoying life in the Sunshine State. Welcome, Christine. It's a pleasure to have you on the Dropping Gems con Muchos Colores podcast.
Thank you. I am very excited to be here. So thank you so much for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. And we're so excited to learn more about you and your journey. And one of the first things that comes to my mind is, let us know, how is it going with you with your move, going from maybe like a colder place to a warmer place? How is that going for you so far?
Well, I love it. And my family up north hates that I brag and rub it in, but I really, really do love being down here. I just love the sunshine. I love the warmth. And that's really a big factor that brought us down here and why we decided to take the leap and follow a longtime goal, actually, of mine and my husband's. We both had he's always wanted Florida, and I've just always wanted warmer weather. So
Great.
we decided to take the plunge, and no regrets. We love it.
I know a lot of us maybe in the past have contemplated moving, but it's always great to hear from others, that their transition is going well. Tell us a little bit more about you and your journey and your background in healthcare. Can you please share with us what it's been like to work in healthcare for the last 15 years? And specifically, I would say in the last 2 years, which we know have been very impactful for everyone.
Yeah, so I started off in the healthcare industry as a CNA, a certified nursing assistant, and then I went on to get my baccalaureate degree in nursing. So I was an RN. I'm an RN, and I continued on, and I got my master's in nursing. So I kind of have been in the game a long time and did some leadership roles then as well. And it is a high risk industry. Healthcare is dealing with people's lives. So I found that what I really enjoyed was just being able to guide my staff and patients during these overwhelming, scary times, stressful times for the staff. And then, you mentioned the past couple of years, COVID was, as everybody said, unprecedented times. We were dealing with something that is so scary. It came quickly. We had to do a lot of changes so that we can act appropriately. So, and of course, my staff were scared, patients were scared. And I just found that being in it so long, I was able to stay calm. And like you mentioned, how my blog article kind of geared towards trying to stay calm, confident, and competent to tackle whatever's coming. And so I used my knowledge base, my leadership skills, to just maintain that throughout the COVID pandemic, throughout my whole, healthcare experience, but specifically then, because everybody else is getting, scared and nervous, and they don't know what's going to happen. So they need that leadership to help guide them through. So I was happy to be able to help in that way and do whatever I could during scary times.
Yeah, it's so important. And, I want to congratulate you for your service and also for your knowledge to help others. From what I have read and researched, the Latino community has been impacted tremendously due to COVID. And, for you to really step into this leadership role and take your knowledge and be a resource and, like you said, guide others is very impressive. And it also speaks about your heart and your character. So I just want to, say that in this podcast that we appreciate leaders like you who are helping the community, especially during these times of a lot of challenge.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it takes so many of us, everybody, healthcare, the service industry, our grocery workers, just, I mean, everybody, we all had to come together because this was a crazy time. So,
Most
but yeah,
definitely.
thank you.
How do you keep up with balancing everything else around your about around your life, your work life, your mom life, your personal life? What has been helping for you to balance everything?
Well, so I've worked full time throughout this whole thing. I've been working since right after college. I got my full-time job, and before that, all throughout college, I actually started working when I was 13. I'm just used to being dedicated to a career towards my jobs and being hardworking. It's just my nature, right? But I'm also now a mom of two toddlers. So I actually think that my balancing mom life, work life, I realized that as soon as I was pregnant that I needed to make some changes because I've always been so devoted to my job. I don't know, I work hard and I give a lot. I give a lot to my jobs, to my roles. But when I got pregnant, I just realized that this is not my priorities shifted. So now I want to give to my babies, and that's more important. So I had to make job changes. I left the role that I was in because I was definitely overworked. You know, I would say even being taken advantage of the amount, that because I gave so much, I think I got taken advantage and was expected to do more than I should have. And so I had to step out of that environment because I knew it wasn't good for me. And I was able to find a role that allowed me to keep the schedule that I knew I wanted, having a child coming in to my life. So I think that was the biggest shift that I did to make sure that I was able to achieve somewhat of a balance. And then with everything going on, like with COVID, sure, that called for maybe some extra times, but luckily, or I guess however you want to look at it, luckily, unluckily, my husband was not working during COVID, so he was home with the kids. So I did have that support, and I was, because of the timing, I was more than willing to give extra at that point. But
Correct.
overall, I made sure I found, I just found a different role where, of course, when I'm there, I'm committed and I still work hard, but I'm not going to work harder for you than I am going to work for my family. I'm there for my family first. So
Yeah, no,
just finding
definitely.
that shift, I think, was the biggest piece. And also the role that I left, and that I took a different role coming down here. I took a role that was less responsibility. So now this new role, the timings were still about the same, but the fact that it had less responsibility, I found that mentally I wasn't as drained when I came home. So I had the energy for my kids, where when I was in this high demand, high responsibility, higher stress level job, sure, I was at a director level. I was proud of that, but it was sucking up all my energy. So by the time I did get home, even though it was normal times, I might not have had as much to give. So I found that in this new role, it's less responsibility and it's just not as draining. And so I have the energy to really enjoy that time with my babies.
And
So
I'm
just
glad to
different
hear
stuff.
that. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that because I think part of our journey as moms is to cultivate a balance and create a balance that works for our family, right? And every family is a different dynamic, different situation. So it has to work for your particular family situation. And I'm glad to hear that it's something that even though you had to either pivot or transition, that it's working for you. And along those lines, this is a topic that is very dear to my heart because I've also been in situations where I had to pivot or transition or create something that would work for my family. I have 3 kids, so it's been very challenging because unfortunately the workforce is not it's not staying on top of family oriented dynamic, right? We all know that there's a lot of improvement that can happen and can still happen within policy development and family friendly policies. What would you recommend for employers to do to make it a little bit more family oriented?
Oh my goodness, there's so much. There's so much that employers could do. I think now the first thing that comes to mind, because of through COVID, working from home was such a big thing.
Hmm.
I think employers should really look at the opportunities available for people to work from home whenever they can. There's so many roles that probably could be done at home. And I think there was even statistics that people were more productive when they were working from home. And it just adds so many advantages to working parents. You eliminate a commute, so that buys more time during their day. Maybe during your lunch break, you can catch up on a little bit of housework or things. Just those little things would all add up so that they can be more present with their family outside of work hours. And that's just one thing. I mean, not to mention maternity leave and how um, minimal it is here for us, and the stress then that puts on. My first, I believe it was my first child, I didn't, I know, I think it was both. For some reason or another,
Hmm.
I didn't have the short-term disability. So I just didn't get to it before I got pregnant. I was already pregnant. And by the time I went to go get it, I was already pregnant. So you don't qualify. So that's a stressor. Your unpaid maternity leave. It just adds a huge factor, which is something that you shouldn't be worrying about when you're trying to take care of this tiny little infant, especially new moms, first time, not sleeping, feeding them constantly. There's enough to go on at that period that you don't need to worry about. Well, now I'm also not getting paid. So,
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Thank you for sharing your experience with that and some of your initiatives that you would like to see. Going back a little bit to your change from Pennsylvania to Florida, I understand your children are toddlers. Is there anything that you did to prepare them for the change, or are they still in that age where they're still trying to understand, what the move is?
so I do think that they're at an age where they were young enough that it almost felt easier. I mean, it was difficult because they are so young and required so much care. So trying to prep everything with 2 little ones was a lot, but took a lot of planning and just trying to get the house ready to get out and packed and all that. So that was harder. But because they are young, they transitioned very easily. I mean, the move down itself, we did drive down, but we broke it up for them. So they tolerated that fine. And then just being here, they were, I mean, more than excited to get into our new apartment, new rooms. They were just kind of running around the apartment and excited, and they adapt so well. So I don't know if I guess you have to kind of look at what you'd rather prefer. Do you move when they're young and then they're easy to manage the change and the transformation, but harder to care for at that time, because once
Hmm.
they're older in school, they're probably going to have a say about it. They're not going to be as likely to want to move. So my kids
Yes.
didn't care. They were all about it. And now we're closer to the beach and go to the pool more often. They're happy
They're
as can
loving
be.
it.
Mhm.
Yes, you're absolutely correct. Sometimes when they're smaller, you don't have to worry about changing the schools because maybe they're not attending school yet, or maybe they haven't developed friends or friendship, to that point where they're gonna miss them. So yes, but then on the other hand, you're moving around, you're moving boxes with 2 toddlers, right? So that could be
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, that was a lot. I remember that last day just getting out of here. I looked at my husband like, let's get the hell out of here. I was so over it, so done. I was just ready to get to our new destination.
One of the things that also I enjoy learning about you and the content that you have is that you help mothers get ready for a baby. What does that process look like? And maybe you can share what that process looked for you, because I'm sure that being when you were a first time mom, there were just so many things that you learn. And even myself, I'm now a mom of three, but I do remember clearly the first time that I became pregnant. Everything was just, I wanted to know about everything. And it was a time that I took it upon myself to learn as much as I can. And even with that, right, the actual reality is that you get most of your experience as you're going through it. But how do you help other moms get ready for a baby, and what does that process look like, and what did that look for you in your individual experience?
So yeah, I did actually recently write an article on my blog about it, about, um, the title was, I think I want a child. What is the risk? And I really tried to break down logistics of it because I feel like we don't always talk about that piece.
Hmm.
We talk about what to expect during pregnancy, you have your first year of baby's life books, but also what about just like the real day-to-day stuff, like I mentioned earlier, the short-term disability, and how you need to make sure you get that and you're signed up for that before you're even pregnant, or they will not accept you, or FMLA and the importance of getting that paperwork in so that you have a secured job when you return, or just planning financially, also looking at the financial aspects. I feel like that was something that I was like, whoa, I don't know. I mean, you obviously, yes, kids are more expensive, but looking at the fact that your monthly insurance is going to go up, can you plan for that? Can you budget and see what that's going to put you into, what kind of position, your hospital bills? So I really went into the logistics of it, just because I feel like that was something that we don't always review, and it's helpful. um, but in regards to just my experience, I agree. Just like you mentioned, you were trying to learn it all. And I'm like a nurse, so I wanted to hear all of the medical pieces of it. And I wanted it all. I was trying to gain all this information. And at that time, I don't even know if it's still big right now, but like a birthing plan was
Hmm.
something that I read a lot about. So I had somewhat of a birthing plan. But what I remembered to keep in mind is just, you can plan and we can learn all about it, but every experience is so different. So the
Correct.
most important thing is not getting upset when things don't go as they were planned, because that's just not your journey. That's just not this baby's path. So if you didn't want a C-section, but you had to have a C-section, then it is what it is. And that happened to me, my first baby. Of course, I was planning for a vaginal birth, but after several days of labor, I ended up having a C-section, an emergent C-section. But then the second baby, I was able to have a VBAC. So,
Mhm.
and that was my plan. That was my VBAC. And I think some of the physicians thought I was crazy. Um, but yeah, I was able to have a vaginal birth then after my first C-section. So you just never know. And you have to um, try to stay calm, because that's what's important for the baby too.
Yes, I agree. Can you share with us how you began the journey of life's risk management? I know it has to do with your background in healthcare, and how you enjoy the navigation aspect of providing help to others. Can you share a little bit more about how that came to life and your motivation behind life's risk management?
Sure. So first, I like to start with mentioning that the idea came to me when I transitioned from Pennsylvania down here to Florida. I had some time off between my jobs, and that time off is something that I was really grateful for, because with life, we can just be on the go, 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 and never allow ourselves time to ourselves, time to really think. So I was able to use that, some of that time, to go out for walks and runs, and I was reading books and just like, I don't know, allowing myself some time to breathe and hear myself think. And that's when the idea actually came up. So I just think it's interesting, what can arise when we give ourselves some time to ourselves. Um, but yeah, so it came up then, and the idea was that in the healthcare industry, and I'm into in quality and leadership. So we use a lot of different tools to help mitigate risk, to really assess risk, and then find action plans and processes, and really trying to work through the risky healthcare world. And all of these tools that I'm learning I thought, well, why not apply this to life? Life is very risky. We're constantly faced with risk in life daily, really. And so these tools that I was learning, that I was gaining knowledge in, I wanted to kind of just share that with other people and really explain how we can use it towards our own life, towards day-to-day things. And that's why I included like having a baby, or I wrote an article even on you're buying your next vehicle, moving, all those kinds of things that can be risky. How can we apply these tools and strategies to it so that it feels a little bit more manageable, so that you're not heading into these different risks full of overwhelming feelings and anxiety that they can easily create? If you have these tools to fall back on, it can be a little bit more helpful, and you can feel calmer and you can feel more confident in it and confident. So that's where the original idea came from.
Isn't it interesting how in those moments where we spend time and really listen to our thoughts and just take that time off, that's when we come up with the greatest and most creative ideas. I know it happens to me doing something that you would think it's just such a data routine, like showering, right? It's like when you have all these ideas. But I think you brought up a good point, and it really ties with wellness, is really taking that time off to let your mind flow. And in this case, it was just a great timing and great idea for you to start thinking about life's risk management and how you can use your background and how you can use the knowledge that you have with mitigating risk. And the end goal is to, like you said, make it more manageable so it's not a situation that becomes stressful for someone, right? So I think that's just really great to hear how that idea came, especially when it came at a time where you were taking time off and getting ready to embark on this new journey in a new state.
Yeah, I agree. It's been a really exciting journey, and I'm definitely glad I'm venturing off. I've even just been able to connect with so many different people, like sitting here with you right now. If I didn't have that idea, it wouldn't have led to this. So I've just been loving every moment of it.
Thank you. And we're so glad we were able to connect, because I agree with you. Sometimes when we share our ideas or we talk about conversations that are very meaningful and talk about topics that are important to us as moms and also as Latinas, we encourage other conversations. Is there anything that you enjoy doing the most with your children or family?
The most, I don't know. Right now, I mean, my kids love the water, and being down here, right? We were able to still go to like the beach and the pool, I think even through in November last month.
Hmm.
So we haven't gone yet this month, and we probably won't go till, it starts warming up again. But they love the water. So hanging out at the pool and the beach, was always good. And now that we're inside a little bit more, they like to help me, like make different things, baking or just trying to cook. And they want to be in the kitchen with me on their little step stools. So that's always fun.
Yeah. And are they close in age? They're both toddlers, correct?
Yeah, 2 and 4.
2 and 4. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a
so
fun.
they're full of energy. So yeah, I have to keep them busy. We do arts and crafts, I take them to the playground. They require a lot of activity. So, but it's fun. They're so cute and just funny, and I love every moment. So that's
Good.
good.
We're glad you're enjoying those moments, because they do grow up very fast.
I
Is
know.
what I'm learning.
I bet. How old are yours?
My kids are 10, 5, and 6. So they're a
Okay.
little older than yours, but yes, I still remember like it was yesterday when my son was a newborn and now he's 10.
Mm-hmm.
It is true. When you're having fun, time goes by real fast.
Yeah.
Is there something that you would say that you have learned in the last couple of years, something that perhaps was like a valuable lesson for you?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's little things that happen that, if we can call them failures, right? That
Mhm,
you set out to do something and it didn't happen.
mhm,
And I have countless. Like I can remember even just in high school trying out for the soccer team, and I didn't make the high school soccer team. And sometimes you have situations where maybe you keep trying again, but in this one, I didn't. I was was devastated, of course, but I also was not as committed as I probably should have been. And I ended up not going for it the next year. I started really, I think I mentioned earlier, I started working at 13. So I really gave
Mm-hmm.
more time towards this business that I was working for. And by the time I was about 16 years old, I was running this business. I was one of their, main employees. I was given a lot of different responsibilities and um yeah, like essentially running this business. And I think back to that where, if I would have made the team, I wouldn't have had this other journey, this other path. And because I did go take that path, I feel like I gained so much experience and so many different skills at a young age that I've carried with me throughout my career path as a woman. And it really almost gave me that built up confidence, and that confidence that I always talk about. I feel like because when I was so young, I was able to handle a lot already, that I had that foundation in me. So then I just kept building on top of that. So even though I didn't maybe, make this soccer team, I, had a completely different journey that I was able to take.
Yeah.
Or another situation was in nursing school. I had to retake my pharmacology class. And that's an example where, I was dedicated, I was committed. I did not pass my first time taking it. So then I took it again. Again, I was devastated, of course, who wants to mess up their class, but I took it again and I graduated and I went on to get my master in science. So it can go different ways, whether maybe that wasn't your path and you find a new path, or if that's really what you want and you're really committed to it, then you got to keep at it and you have to be, relentless with it, because if that's what you want, you're going to be able to get it. You just have to keep going. So the failures, like you said, are valuable lessons, and you take from it what you want. And um, yeah, it can go either way though.
And it's very important what you said, that if you really want it, you're going to keep working on it, right? Because, like many of us, the doors will be closed at some point, but we got to just keep knocking and keep trying. And one of the things that caught my attention, and you speak a lot about confidence, and I think that is a topic that um, Latina women, and specifically, need a reminder of how we can show up confident. Can you share a little bit more about how a woman can feel more confident in their journey, whether it's personal or whether it's in their career? What has helped you, and what would you tell others about how they can embrace and build their confidence?
I think the biggest thing to really build up your confidence is to not care what everybody else is thinking, what everybody else expects of you, and just really moving and doing what you want to do for yourself. Nobody else, they're not paying your bills, they're not coming home and hanging out with your kids. Like this is your life. So sometimes if you like kind of feel a little hesitant with something, or you're unsure because what are other people going to think, and this is for me too, I have to remind myself, like, well, I don't care, I'm going to do what I need to do for me, because they're not living my life. And so letting that go, you can kind of walk in your step a little bit more prouder, because you're not having this extra baggage of, well, what might somebody think. And
Hmm.
so really trying to do, what you want, what it's going to make you happy, what is it that you care about in your life, and focusing in on that. And also realizing that as you focus in on what you want, you're still not going to see, perfection. And that's okay. You don't, it's just, perfection's not required. You mess up, you try again. Just like we were just talking about, with failure, you might go on a different path, and that's okay. As long as you're still moving with what you want and taking the steps that are making you happy, um, then it doesn't matter that it's not perfect. And that might also helps with, the confidence piece. Like, yeah, so what if I screw up? So what if I don't know everything? I can find out. I can pull on some resources and still handle this not without a problem. So you can't hold yourselves to these crazy expectations. But you still got to keep moving forward. And it's okay if you don't know it all. It's okay if it's not going exactly as planned. You're still doing what you want, and that's what matters.
Yeah, getting over first, that extra baggage that sometimes we carry of what may someone else think, or those self-limiting beliefs, right? That kind of keep us in the safe side and not let us move forward. What are some goals that you have on your bucket list, or some of the things that you might want to accomplish in the near future?
So, as I build life's risk management, I would like to be able to build this business. I'm working on another business with, like in real estate, and gain that time freedom. That's my biggest goal. I work a 9 to 5 and I have to request for time off, and I don't work from home. I have a commute, and there's all of this that's involved with your typical 9 to 5. And for the longest time, I just figured that's how it is. That's what it's going to be.
Mhm.
But it's always bothered me to not be able to move how I want, like time wise, not have to follow someone else's schedule. Like even in school as a kid, I like to be able to, I would love to be able to have my schedule, and follow the things that I want to do. So if I want a day off, or not feel guilty for taking a day off because of my boss, or feeling bad for my boss or the other team or the
Mhm.
company, just being able to kind of use my time how I want it and have time freedom. So the goal is to create my businesses and build them up to a point that I can leave that typical 9 to 5, and be my own boss, right? And have that time freedom.
I agree with you. Time freedom is my main initiative. And I think a lot of women, a lot of mothers can relate to that. That's basically what they want, the ability to create their own schedule and accomplish their goals, and all the other things that we can accomplish if we just have a little bit of more freedom to create our own schedule. I can relate to the importance of being able to create that freedom. And I have no doubt you are definitely a leader in healthcare, and I believe your business has a really great mission, which is really to mitigate risk and make it more manageable for others to be able to go through what life can throw at us, and that could be from a healthcare perspective, that could be from a personal perspective. There's just a lot of things that, as an individual, we manage every day. Why not apply your knowledge and experience to be able to mitigate those risks and help others to do that?
That is the goal.
Do you have any favorite books, or hobbies that you want to share with us?
Yeah. So, um, the one book that I most recently finished up that I really liked was The Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes. That one was really, really good. Another one that I've read several times over, kind of I grab it whenever I feel like I need a pick me up, is The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. I have so many, but those are the couple that I can think of right now. Hobbies, it's funny. I feel like I don't have as much time for hobbies, being that I have my two little toddlers.
What I notice is I started to look at the hobbies I had as a child,
Mhm.
and I'm bringing them back. So maybe I'll reframe the question. What are some hobbies that you used to enjoy as a child, and perhaps you would like to do again as an adult?
Yeah. Well, growing up, I used to be part of a dance group, and we would do Mexican ballet folklorico.
That's
And
sweet.
so I would dance, and also I sing ranchera to mariachi music. So we
Nice.
would, yeah, so like we would perform at, local community festivals, or maybe a couple private parties, restaurants, Mexican restaurants. We'll dance on any Mexican restaurant floor. We used to do that on the weekends and stuff. So I would dance and sing with my El Grupo Mexicano de Lehigh Valley. So, but to do that again, I mean, I'm not saying that I won't bring it back. I might, I'll get my kids involved in everything, but that one's a little hard to do. But
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe you could do it remotely, right? Have
yeah,
a
that
Zoom singing session.
yes, I did that over quarantine, only privately, like for my family, but I did. I Zoomed them and I was like, I'm going to sing for y'all to lift up your spirits.
Oh, how nice. So yeah, I guess the singing and the music is still within you. So that's really
Yeah.
great.
Oh, my kids still get it in the car. That's never going to go away.
What advice you have received and you thought it was a good advice? Because I think at some point we get some good advice, we get some not so well advised, and we have some advice that really sticks with us. Is there anything that perhaps you were given, or maybe you overheard a good advice that you received?
Yeah, I would say most recently I got advice where um, to not let negative thoughts or maybe previous experiences that weigh you down a little bit, don't give them power. Don't give those thoughts power. Let them go so that you can continue on to enjoy your presence.
Hmm.
And to me, I don't know, it's so simple, but I really like that one. Yeah, don't give those negative thoughts power. Those, why don't rehash negative things. Just let them go so that we can be more focused in our present day and enjoy it and be happy now.
And we're so happy that you were able to join us today. It's really a privilege to have you on the podcast as a decision making and accountability life coach. The purpose of this podcast is really to interview other trailblazer moms that are working towards cultivating that journey that they want. And we're very excited to have you here. A platform that you want to share with us so that our audience can follow you for more information on your business, which is Life's Risk Management.
Yeah. So I'm on Instagram. So I'm at life's_risk_management, or I'm on Facebook, and that's Life's Risk Management. That's all one.
Thanks for listening to the Dropping Gems con Muchos Colores podcast. We have a new episode every month. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to leave a review and subscribe so you don't miss a beat. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.